off with Clayton Safety from the Wolverine.
Hey, Coach, we all saw the embrace between you and Jim Harbaugh after the Ohio State game. What did that moment you think mean for him and you, and just how happy were you seeing the Wolverines knock off the Buckeyes?
Well, are you meaning that what's the moment mean like for Jim winning against the Buckeyes?
Or just that whole in your hug and everything like that.
Well, I can't really explain the feelings that went on in his body or mind or whatever during that time, but all I can share with you was for me it was just a great moment as I was leaving the arena, and I looked over to my right and noticed that was Coach in that area, and I just wanted to congratulate him and let him know that how happy we are, and how happy I am of all the hard work and he and his team and staff has put in through the season, and knowing that the season is not over with, but for a rivalry game and how big that rivalry game has been, just for the University of Michigan. It was a beautiful time, a great win, and an emotional win for everyone.
Coach, will go to David Wallace from Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, Coach, your lifetime already 2-0 against UNC, and your team has hit 11 3-pointers in both contests. So why has the 3-point shot been so effective against UNC?
Honestly, I don't know, but I tell you one thing: we got to do a better job of making outside shots, just in general. Looking at some of our numbers on outside shooting, we're getting some open looks, but haven't had a chance to knock them down. So we're going to need them come tomorrow night, especially on the road.
And also, I know that you and Coach Davis were teammates for a little bit with the 2000-2001 Mavs. Is there one story that you can share with us that we haven't heard about Coach Davis yet?
I missed him. I really did miss playing with him, because the times I remember when I was there with the Mavs, Coach Davis was working on his staff, and if I recall, he was doing some intern work with the front office. So we were never teammates.
I see.
I remember his time as a professional player when he was playing for the New York Knicks and playing against them then. I mean, he was a very smart, tough-nosed guard, competed on both ends, can shoot the ball extremely well from the outside. That's what I do remember.
Did you have any interactions with him during those times?
Very limited interactions.
All right, thank you.
Next up, Coach, is Mark Ziegler from the San Diego Union Tribune.
Coach, I know you have a game first, and I'll ask you more questions about Dutch in your subsequent Zoom, but I wanted to ask you about, you're going into an arena tomorrow night with a lot of banners hanging from the ceiling. You've mentioned revisiting the banner issue and your banners. Where are you on that? And how important to you is it that one day you see those banners in Chrysler Center?
Well, I haven't been thinking about our banners as of late. My focus has always been on our team and getting our team playing some competitive basketball that will give us the best chance to win. But that's what my focus has been, and also my focus has been on our opponents. And right now, I look at it game by game, and I'm just focused on North Carolina. Now, I never know what that situation will look like, but as of right now, I focus on the season.
And one quick question about Steve Fisher. When you look at the arc of his career and what happened to him at Michigan, but also what happened and how he was able to rebuild his career at San Diego State and his life. I know you've been close with him. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you still think he got screwed at Michigan, and how do you feel like he rebounded from that?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Coach, in my opinion, is a Hall of Fame coach. And I believe that there are a lot of, people in the basketball world, particularly the collegiate level, who are rather coaches, players, and fans, if you look back at Coach Fisher's career, coaching at the University of Michigan, what he has done, and then also moving on to San Diego State and turning that program around and having success there, that it deserves to be mentioned as a Hall of Fame career. Now, when it comes to what happened in relationship with the University of Michigan, he can explain that better than I can, because when I left, I was more focused on my professional career. But looking back to some of the chatter that was going on, I don't know all the information to really speak on it, but I would say this: I am totally support of Coach Fisher and his legacy and what he's done at the University of Michigan, also with San Diego. And that's my guy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Next up is Scott Miller from the New York Post.
Hi, Coach Fisher. Another relationships question, if you will. Coach Brian Dutcher, I know how close you are with him, and skipping ahead to Saturday, I apologize there, but just wondering if you could describe your relationship with Coach Dutcher, and also what are your memories from that time long ago when he pretty much saw you play every day in 1990, I guess, July.
Yes, Coach and I relationship started back when I was in high school, when he started the recruiting of me to become University of Michigan. Yeah. And I've always enjoyed the relationship, the conversations that we've had, and I just saw the purity in his heart that he really cared about me. And then as I attended the University of Michigan, our relationship took off and it became more of a family. And still to this day, now we fast forward through my professional career, as far as a player and a coach, we always stayed in contact. There are times when I go visit him in San Diego and see Coach Fisher, spend time with Jan Dutcher and his kids, his two beautiful daughters, and they are, genuinely family of mine. And when it comes to the game of basketball, when we compete on, Saturday, I believe, we're both going to be so locked in to getting our teams ready. But at the same time, it would never interfere with the special bond that we both have.
If I could follow just the one other thing, during the recruiting process, and I know that went on, but at one point the rules were a little different, and he watched you play like every day wherever you were. What do you remember about that? Do you have any funny stories where you were like, oh my gosh, here he is again?
Well, I'm getting older, so I'm sure a lot of folks on this line can understand when you get older, sometimes you sort of forget some things. But I would say this, I do remember seeing him a lot during the recruiting at Trail. And, we made eye contact, and, he's always been a very funny guy. He has a quirky type of sense of humor, and he knows how to communicate with people. That's been always one of his biggest gifts. But I do remember seeing him at times at the Prairie State games, when the Prairie State games was in Champaign, Illinois. I remember seeing him obviously at CVS High School a lot, the high school that I attended. One of the highlight moments that I recall was on our home visit, and my grandmother always, when we had home visit with different colleges, and University of Michigan obviously was one of them. I remember she cooked for the staff, and I recall watching Coach Dutcher, Coach Fisher, Coach Mike Boyd eating some of my grandmother's famous greens. And, that's very known as a personal dish that, in the Howard household that we've always enjoyed. And just to see the coaches enjoying it too, that was a highlight moment for her and for me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next up is CL Brown from the Raleigh News and Observer.
Hi, Juwan. Going back to that moment from Saturday with you and Coach Harbaugh, when you mentioned the criticism of him and we're like, now what are they going to say? Now what? I was curious from your time coaching now, what has been your now what? Like, was there a criticism that you heard of yourself like publicly, or something that you felt like maybe you had to prove to yourself that after you achieved it, you like, now what?
No, I never had a now what moment, but I'm a big fan of the sport, and I'm a huge fan of Michigan football. And I hear all the chatter about, Coach Harbaugh, and and my heart pours for him and his family. And I think sometimes, like in sports, we realize, coaches have families, and it affects them too as well. And coaches have supporters, and it affect me. So I remember that, hearing all that chatter. Me personally, I remember hearing that, can he coach? It's his first time. Being coming from the NBA. A lot of NBA guys haven't, been able to be successful from moving from the NBA world and moving on to the college world and coaching. That's always been what I've always heard. And I heard it, during the time when I was at my press conference when not Coach Ward, excuse me, our AD, Ward Manuel, was being questioned by many of you that's on the call today. And so that has always been something that, I've always heard and listened to, but I never, would throw it back in anyone's face, because at the end of the day, I obviously know that you guys have a job and everyone's entitled to their opinion. And I have an opinion, and but I also have two big ears that I listen.
And I was curious too, it's different circumstances for sure, but you taking over your alma mater and Hubert now doing the same at Carolina, what if anything from that first year, what kind of advice would you give Hubert in terms of, being at the place you love and trying to live up to expectations, but also trying to forge your own path?
No, the only advice I would give them would be, just enjoy the moment. Don't forget about, we all get caught up into the competitive games and with the wins and the losses, but, don't forget about just enjoying it, and that's the joy and the passion of the game of what we played, but now we're getting an opportunity to coach it and help, develop these young men, and to someday become a man. Enjoy that moment.
Thank you.
Next up, Coach, is Jamie Edmonds from WDIB TV.
Hi, Coach. We're all clearly very excited about the Big Ten Championship coming up. You answered the question about the hug and your feelings there. I just think it's really fun that both programs support each other so much. Your players talked about how they are excited for their student athletes and their friends. Will you guys watch the game on Saturday after your game is completed?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we will. But we have a game to play, and we will be locked in on San Diego State. But you best believe once our game ends, fortunate enough it's a night game, so we get a chance to get some food in our system, rest up a little bit, and then get, whether you're sitting on that couch or we haven't decided as far as if we're going to have like a team viewing session or whatever to watch the game. But, I'm looking forward to that matchup versus Iowa.
Thank you.
Next up is Andrew Kahn from MLive.
Good one. First of all, how's your son doing? I saw a photo he posted from having surgery. He's doing okay. Jace, that is.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he's doing better. He has a rough time sleeping last night, and tough breathing through both nostrils when they both have like stents up your nose because his nose broken in practice.
Right.
But it's a part of it. It's something that he has to go through for the next week or two, and I'm sure he will heal. We had really good doctors that worked on him yesterday, and his mom was with him. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the surgery because I was here at work, but I saw him last night. he's fighting the fight.
All right, good to hear. And then, obviously talk about your passion for the football program, but it extends to really all the teams on this campus. I'm wondering if, since you've been back these last few years, if there's a sport on campus you've learned a little more about that you didn't really know. You've attended a game or talked to coaches and maybe picked up a new favorite sport.
Well, I would say this, I've got a chance to learn a little bit more about lacrosse.
Good. Perfect. Thanks.
Yep.
Next up is Jack Kingsley from the Michigan Daily.
Hey, Juwan. You guys kind of struggled to contain Arizona in the paint in Vegas, and UNC is another team that starts two bigs. What have your conversations been like with Hunter and Musa and your big men about how to contain them?
Well, I'm not going to tell you the conversation and what it's been like, but I would say we've been watching film on, how we could, do a better job of making, UNC bigs work a little bit harder for their points.
All right, thanks.
Next up is Michael Cohen from the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Juwan, in terms of the strides that Frankie has made this season, what is it about his learning style, whether he's a guy that doesn't make the same mistake twice or he's a very detailed note taker, or anything about his learning style that has allowed him to make the strides he's made so far?
Well, Frankie just is a student of the game, and that's what makes him very unique, and that's what's going to help his growth, because he's always wants to learn and see how he can get better, and he loves watching film with me and Coach Howard Isley, and he also understands out there on the floor in practice some of the situations on the offensive end and defensive end on what's needed and what will help us get better as a group. And that's the beauty of having a guy who has a high character, but also is one of the hardest workers on our team that have that growth mindset. And that's why I've been so impressed with Frankie, and I trust that he will, get better and better. And playing is truly going to help him. As he play more, he will get better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a quick follow-up from Andrew Kahn.
Coach, thanks. Just back to Coach Dutcher. You've talked about all these great coaches you played for or worked with, and the things you borrowed from them. Is there anything you can share that you have taken from him, something he did that now you try to do with your players?
I haven't learned anything from Coach Dutcher, man. He's the worst. He's the worst. He's actually the worst coach I ever played for. You could say that to a guy who's like, his family, because all he's going to do is knock it off, and then he's going to have a really good comeback. But I'm just honored to be able to be, one of his recipients of young men that he has helped turn into a man. And I could not be more happy and, blessed and excited for the relationship that we've both, developed over the years, and will continue to be a part of my life and my kids and life as well, because that's how special of a man Coach Dutcher is.
Thanks.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Safe travels to Chapel Hill.